Hey Wildcats, I'm Kate Harley, and I'm so excited to be joined by Westminster's new athletic director, Ms. Shannon Soares. Ms. Soares, thank you so much for being here, and welcome to campus.
Thanks, Kate. I'm excited to be here, and I've been here for about 30 days, and I'm loving it.
Yeah, well, I know students want to hear all about your plans for Westminster, but first, let's just focus on you. So tell me a little bit about your upbringing and what role sports played in your life growing up.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people have heard this, but I'm the daughter of a longtime high school field hockey coach, and so I grew up on the sidelines of athletics fields and around hallways like this, gyms like that, pool decks like this. And I'll tell you, a lot of my fondest memories are of watching my mom lead young women through sport and watching the power of that sport bring teams together and ultimately find success. But throughout that success, lots of great stories individually and collectively from a team perspective. So I'd like to think that really is what motivated me to get into athletics.
Yeah.
And I've had a significant career in it at a significant amount of levels, whether it be the grassroots level or at the collegiate level, also at the pro level. And now I'm here in an independent school setting at one of the best independent schools in the country. And I'm really, really excited to be working with bright and driven student athletes like yourself and lots of great coaches that we've got in that hallway around the corner as well.
Yeah, well, we're happy to have you. And I mean, focusing on your time at school, playing field hockey, what are some of your best memories from that time?
Yeah, you know, a lot of people will say winning championships is a great thing, and I've done that. But for me, it's the journey and the process, the hard practices, the meals with your teammates after a great game or a tough game, the bonding that takes place within an environment that breeds teams. Those are some of my fondest memories. Is just the connections with people that you get to make and the lessons that you learn throughout. Probably more so the challenges than the actual rewards and accomplishments of it. Yeah.
Well, then at William & Mary, you definitely had some accomplishments and successes. I think 5th all-time in assists. That's amazing. What was your time like at William & Mary?
Yeah, you know, I tell a lot of people this. My time at William & Mary was really rewarding. In most part, it taught me how to work hard. I was surrounded by probably a lot of the types of students that are here on a Westminster community, really driven, hardworking young people that were presidents of their high school class or valedictorians of their high school class. And I realized really quickly, like, in order to keep up, I'm going to have to work hard and I'm going to have to put the time in. And so, you know, I'd go to classes, I'd go to practice from 4 to 6:30, I'd eat in the cafeteria from 6:30 to 7, and then I'd spend 7 to 11:30 or midnight in SWEM library. And that's where I really learned, like, if you want to reap the rewards of this experience, you got to work hard. And I really do think that a lot of that experience I've carried with me throughout my professional life, and hopefully I'll instill in my kids as well.
Yeah, definitely. And then looking at your professional life, you've had a great career as a coach both at VCU and Georgetown. What do you think you'll take from your experience as a coach and translate it into athletic director?
For me, it's all about culture. I was never somebody that was obsessed with the sport of field hockey or the X's and O's. To me, it was the connection of teams and learning how to push past what you ever thought was possible in terms of your internal limits. And, you know, us being able to create an environment that is conducive to a healthy, a supportive, a challenging student-athlete experience is going to be really, really important. And you do that through investing in people and investing in relationships. And that's culture at the end of the day. And I think culture eats X's and O's for breakfast.
Yes, definitely. And one thing that stood out to me about your time both at VCU and Georgetown is the academic side of all of your teams, both on campus and then just in your regions, like in the Big East at Georgetown. So for you, how do you focus on creating real student athletes?
Yeah, well, we're all here for the student. At the end of the day, you're our why. If you didn't exist, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have jobs. And I've had the privilege of being a student athlete at a school like William & Mary, working at an institution like Georgetown, and it is so, so fun to work with bright, driven, talented young people that have an energy that's contagious, because you know that they're going to have an amazing experience as a student athlete, but then they're probably not going to go pro in the sport that they're playing. They're going to go into the real world and impact it in a positive way as citizens, as professionals. And some of my best experiences at Georgetown was watching the young women that were a part of our program leave and go into the Peace Corps or become doctors and lawyers and nurses and teachers and professionals and film producers, you name it. but watching those stories pan out and being able to play a really small part in that journey and growth is something I'll always be proud of.
Yeah, that's amazing. And one thing I'm very curious about is recently in August, you started Bloom Sports Partners. So just what's your mission there and what are you about over at Bloom Sports Partners?
Yeah, about a year ago, a colleague and myself, we were working for a boutique sports advisory firm that was heavily present in the pro space, and we got our foot in the door in the sport of women's professional soccer. And it was right at the time that Michelle Kang officially took ownership of the Washington Spirit, which is an NWSL club. And we had the opportunity to go into that organization and help her understand what she was walking into as a new owner. So what did the talent look like on the sporting side of the organization? What did the core operating processes look like? What did the organizational design look like? And then we partnered with her to help her identify strategic priorities to build what she wants to be the best women's soccer club in the world. And she's on her way to doing that. But that was kind of the domino for us that fell, that allowed us to get into a lot of these women's professional teams and help them build something special and increase the quality of experience for women's professional athletes. And so that's what Bloom's about, is helping to lift the standard on the women's side and professionalize women's sport.
That's really cool. I know here women's soccer at Westminster is huge, so I'm sure they'll be happy to hear that. And now let's just moving to Westminster. Like you said, you got here about a month ago. What are you thinking so far? I know you're moving to the south from the northeast, probably a little bit hot, but are you enjoying it so far?
The weather is no joke. I will tell you that. This humidity is real. We've been here about a month. We have felt so warmly welcomed by the community of Westminster, and whether or not that's parents or students or staff or cat backers, they've all been amazing in making this transition as smooth as possible. We're loving the Atlanta area. We're trying lots of new restaurants and coffee shops. That's my love language. I love finding new places to eat and share meals with people. And you know, coming into Turner and having the keys to the office and rearranging it a bit and getting my stuff put in made it feel a bit real. I'll tell you what made it feel more real is now that we've got student athletes back in this facility, walking the halls. We're hearing the cheerleading team right now practicing cheers, or volleyball's bouncing the ball down in the Aux gym, football's on Kent Field, softball's on their field. You know, we're back, and the fact that there's energy and youth in this building makes this really, really exciting for me, and I can't wait to get going.
Yeah, no, it's like you said, I think Turner Gym is a very busy place, and that's something, I think Westminster often has a reputation of being an academic school, but it's also an athletic school. And so for you, how are you going to keep kind of maintaining the standard that Westminster has created in athletics?
Yeah, people will hear me say this often. I genuinely believe that our sport programs can and should serve as extensions of the classroom. They should be a place where our student athletes feel connected, feel challenged, feel supported, feel seen. And we're going to do everything that we can in this department to make sure that we are providing that type of a student athlete experience to you and all of your classmates on this campus. You know, Westminster has built its reputation based upon the academic excellence and rigor that it embodies here, and that'll be no different. But we can also be competitive in athletics while still upholding a significant standard of academic excellence as well. And I'm excited to see those two things continue to marry.
Yeah, definitely. I've been talking to some student athletes on campus, and they've talked about maybe on their teams that maybe aren't in the spotlight as much. Sometimes they feel maybe they're not getting the same funding or attention as other sports despite their excellent performances. So just kind of what's your take on that and the relationship between all the different teams on campus?
You know, I just mentioned our sport programs being a place where student athletes can be seen. And I think that's no different for our coaches as well. I'm conscious of the fact that we're in the South and football is a big deal. And, you know, I don't want to take anything away from it because it is important. But every other sport program here at Westminster is equally as important. And the way in which I intend to show that through action is to be present. And so, yeah, I've been up on Kent Field almost every day of football practice. I've been down in the volleyball gym watching practice. I'll go check out some of cheer and some of softball today. I saw Gideon and his teammates in his time trial yesterday for boys cross country. I want to be around, and my hope is that just me being around and our staff being around will show student athletes that what they do matters, and that they're seen. It's important.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know they're going to appreciate having you around. I think another thing Westminster Athletics has seen the past couple years is the reclassification, moving from 3A to 4A. So how are you going to create a relationship with the GHSA and be a voice for Westminster?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I will be honest with you, I still have a lot to learn around the GHSA, but the good news is we've got a lot of people in this department, coaches, athletics staff members that have been around a long time and have a lot of institutional knowledge and understand the nuances of GHSA. I'd love for us to have a seat at the table and to build relationships with folks at that office. And we can only do that by being present and serving on committees and actively having a voice and taking part in those conversations. So I'm looking forward to doing that. It may take some time, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Well, then talking about a voice for students, how do you think they can get involved in athletics and just being a voice on campus?
Yeah, so I believe Lane McLaughlin and Coach Marty Wild have done a great job of creating the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, which I had the opportunity to meet with during my interview, and that was my favorite part of the interview process. So much energy in that room, so much great feedback, so many valid insights. I look forward to regularly meeting with that group as well and learning about their experiences and partnering with them to find ways for us to increase the fan attendance at games or increase the quality of experience that student athletes are receiving in the day-to-day here. The student athlete voice is the student voice, and the student athlete voice is important. It's critical to the work that we'll do to evolve and continue to grow as a department, and we want to make sure that they feel heard and seen.
Yeah, I know that group has been great on campus, both on the coaches side and then the student side. I know so many people enjoy being a part of it. Now, I think I know what your answer is going to be to this question, but if you could add any sport to Westminster, what would it be?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question, and I think there's a lot of interest from the community around various different sports to be added to this department, and we're going to have to identify the right process to vet that interest and hopefully meet folks where they are around interest levels for sports. I will tell you, field hockey likely isn't going to make it in Atlanta, Georgia. I don't think there's any club sports or interscholastic programs here. So I doubt that's going to happen. You don't see it south of the North Carolina state line, but I'm looking forward to learning about opportunities and interest levels for sports. I'm not going to give you one that I'd like to add because I know there's a lot of folks out there that have got an interest in it.
Definitely. Well, I think we've been so interested to see new sports. Westminster just recently added esports, so you're right. There's definitely lots of people who want new sports to be involved.
Yeah, and lots of students that within our community that are working really hard in respective sports outside of this athletic department, you know, whether it be water polo or fencing or women's flag football, you name it. There's no shortage of interest. So looking forward to learning more about it.
Yeah, well, definitely. Just to wrap this up, is there anything you'd like to say to students, to the Wildcat Nation?
Yeah, I am so excited to get to know you all. And you know, if you're a student at Westminster and you don't happen to participate in athletics, I'm looking forward to meeting you too. And my hope is that we can be present outside of this department and support the various divisions on campus, support the performing arts, attend some symphonies if we can, attend some plays, and show our support for everybody on campus because it's important. We're a community and we're working together, and I'm just excited to get to know everyone.